My husband said couples therapy was admitting defeat. I found out he'd been in therapy for 6 months with his ex-girlfriend sitting in on every session. The therapist's bill came to our house by mistake. It was addressed to Bryce, but I opened it thinking it was for his chiropractor visits he'd been going to every Tuesday evening, except the letterhead read, Dr. Patricia Hollis Marriage and Family Therapy. Marriage therapy. For 6 months. While telling me therapy was for weak people who couldn't solve their own problems. I called the number on the bill. The receptionist was friendly and helpful. Oh yes, Mr. Bennett and Ms. Foster have been coming regularly. Such a dedicated couple working through their issues. Ms. Foster. His ex-girlfriend, Colette. When Bryce came home, I had the bill waiting on the table. He froze in the doorway, his gym bag sliding off his shoulder. It's not what you think, he started. You've been in therapy with Colette for half a year? He sat down slowly. She reached out to me last November, said she was struggling with our breakup, that she needed closure. Dr. Hollis suggested joint sessions to process the relationship properly. You've been married to me for 4 years. I know, he rubbed his face. But Colette said she couldn't move forward without understanding what went wrong between us. Every Tuesday? I asked. He nodded. And some Thursdays, twice a week. While I made dinner and waited for him to come home. While I texted him asking if his back was feeling better. While I believed every word. What did you talk about? Our relationship. Why it ended. What we both needed emotionally. He met my eyes. It was actually really helpful. Did you tell Dr. Hollis you were married? Silence. Bryce. Did your therapist know you were married? Colette thought it might complicate the therapeutic process if we brought up current relationships. I started laughing. The absurdity of it all. My husband and his ex-girlfriend playing pretend in some therapist's office while I existed in some other dimension they'd agreed to ignore. Stop laughing, he said. You're being dramatic. I'm being dramatic? You've been conducting a secret emotional affair disguised as therapy. It wasn't an affair. We were in professional counseling. Did you touch her? He hesitated, just a fraction of a second. The therapist encouraged physical comfort during vulnerable moments. Holding hands, hugging, nothing inappropriate. I called Dr. Hollis the next morning. She was apologetic, professional, carefully neutral. I can't discuss my patients, but if there was a misunderstanding about relationship status, that's certainly concerning. Did he ever mention me? Long pause. I really can't say. Which meant no. I showed up to their next session unannounced. I walked straight into Dr. Hollis's office. They were sitting on the couch together, Colette's hand on Bryce's knee, tissues scattered on the coffee table. Hi, I said. I'm the wife. Dr. Hollis paled. Colette's hand dropped. Bryce just stared. Funny thing about therapy, I continued. It really only works when everyone's honest. My husband has been lying to you for 6 months, and I've been paying for it. I dropped the folder of bills on Dr. Hollis's desk, our joint credit card, every session charged to the account I helped fund. Colette looked at Bryce. You're married? Colette, do you know why they actually broke up? I asked. She shook her head. He cheated on you. With me. That's how we met. I was the other woman who became the wife. Colette stood up slowly. Is that true? Bryce's silence said everything. I left them there. When I got home, I found Bryce's phone charging on the counter. I scrolled through his messages with Colette. Months of texts, planning sessions, inside jokes, heart emojis, and then I saw it. Messages from last Tuesday night. The photos were date-stamped. Room 412 at the Marriott downtown. The images showed them in bed together. Not therapeutic at all. His hand on her bare shoulder, her smile into the camera. A caption that read, finally being honest about what we need. I sat on our kitchen floor, the same floor where I'd confronted him about the bill just days ago, and scrolled through months of evidence. They'd been sleeping together since February. 4 months of hotel rooms and lies. The therapy sessions were real, but they were just the prelude. A way to reconnect. To justify spending time together. To build toward this. There were texts about me. She suspects something. Just tell her you're working late. The therapist thing is perfect cover. They'd laughed about it. About how naive I was. How I actually believed the chiropractor story. I took screenshots of everything. Every message, every photo. Every receipt from hotels and restaurants. Then I put his phone back exactly where I'd found it. Bryce came home around midnight. I was sitting in the dark living room, waiting. We need to talk, he said, turning on the light. I know. He looked relieved. Like he'd been preparing for this conversation. Had his explanations ready. Colette and I have history. Real history. And sitting in those sessions made me realize I never got over her. I'm sorry, but I think we need to separate. When did you decide this? I asked calmly. It's been building. The therapy helped me understand what I really want. And what you really want is Colette. Yes. He had the audacity to look sad about it. I never meant to hurt you, but I can't keep living a lie. Living a lie? I repeated. That's interesting phrasing. I'll move out this weekend. We can figure out the house and everything else later. I want this to be amicable. Amicable. I stood up. You've been sleeping with her since February. His face changed. How did you? Your phone. You left it charging this morning. I saw everything. That's a violation of privacy, he said, his voice rising. And fucking your ex-girlfriend in hotel rooms while your wife pays for your therapy sessions is what, exactly? You had no right to go through my phone. You had no right to destroy our marriage while pretending to fix yours with someone else. He grabbed his keys. I'm staying at Colette's tonight. We'll talk when you've calmed down. I'm perfectly calm, I said. But before you go, you should know I've already called a lawyer. And I sent myself every screenshot from your phone. He froze. You can't use those in court. That's illegal. Actually, in this state, I can. Marital property includes digital devices and communications. My lawyer was very clear about that. You're being vindictive. I'm being thorough. I opened the door for him. Give Colette my regards. Tell her she won the same prize I did. A liar who'll cheat on her the moment therapy gets boring. He left without another word. I spent that night going through our financial records. The joint account showed thousands in charges I'd never questioned. Hotels, dinners, gifts that never came home to me. He'd been funding his affair with our money I earned from my graphic design business, money I'd contributed equally to our life together. The next morning, I met with my lawyer, Florence Whitmore. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed, and had a reputation for destroying unfaithful spouses in divorce proceedings. "This is good," she said, reviewing my screenshots. "Very good. The affair is documented, the financial infidelity is clear, and the deception about the therapy creates a compelling narrative. What happens now? We file, and we make sure you get everything you're entitled to. The house, half his retirement, alimony if applicable, and compensation for emotional distress." She looked up at me. "How vindictive do you want to be?" "I want him to regret every choice he made." Florence smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. "Then let's talk about Dr. Patricia Hollis." We filed a complaint with the state licensing board. Dr. Hollis had facilitated an affair by not properly vetting her clients' relationship statuses, by encouraging physical contact between two people conducting an extramarital relationship, and by billing a spouse for sessions that directly contributed to marital breakdown. The board took it seriously, very seriously. Within a week, Dr. Hollis was under investigation. Within 2 weeks, the local news picked up the story. Therapist accused of enabling affair ran on the evening broadcast. They didn't name names, but everyone in our social circle knew. Bryce called me furious. "You're destroying her career? She destroyed my marriage? She didn't know I was married. That's on me." "Then maybe you should have told her. Maybe you should have been honest about anything." I paused. "How's Colette handling all this?" "She's upset. The publicity is embarrassing." "Good. When did you become so cruel?" "I learned from the best." I hung up. The divorce proceedings began. Florence was ruthless. She documented every hotel stay, every dinner, every lie. She subpoenaed Dr. Hollis's session notes, which revealed that Bryce had actively avoided mentioning his marital status. He'd referred to me as his roommate in one session, his former partner in another. Colette tried to reach out to me. She sent an email. Long, rambling, full of justifications. She hadn't known I existed at first. By the time she found out, she was already in love with him again. She thought I'd understand, since I'd been the other woman once too. I forwarded the email to Florence without responding. It became Exhibit 16 in our case. The house was appraised. Bryce wanted to keep it. "I've lived here for 4 years," he argued. "It's my home." "And where was I living?" I asked during mediation. "In a fantasy?" The mediator, a tired-looking woman named Greta, sighed. "Let's focus on equitable distribution." "I want the house," I said. "He can have his therapy bills." We fought for 6 months. Every asset, every account, every piece of furniture became a battleground. Bryce hired an expensive lawyer who tried to paint me as unstable, vindictive, unreasonable. My spending habits were scrutinized, my business income questioned, my emotional state evaluated. Florence countered every move. "She's protecting her interests after discovering a long-term affair funded by marital assets. That's not vindictive. That's rational." The judge agreed. I got the house, half his retirement, spousal support for 2 years, and a settlement for emotional distress that made Bryce's lawyer actually gasp when the judge announced it. "This is insane," Bryce said outside the courtroom. "You're taking everything." "No," I corrected. "I'm taking what I'm owed. You took everything 6 months ago when you decided I didn't matter." He married Colette 6 months after our divorce was finalized. I saw the announcement on social media. They looked happy in the photos, radiant, in love. All their friends commented about how perfect they were together, how they'd found their way back to each other against all odds. I didn't comment. I just blocked them both and moved on with my life. Except moving on wasn't simple. The house felt too big, too full of memory. I'd wake up at night and forget, just for a moment, that I was alone. I'd reach across the bed and find empty space. I'd make coffee for 2 before remembering. My best friend Natalie tried to help. She set me up on dates, took me out to bars, encouraged me to download dating apps. "You're young," she said. "Don't let him ruin your whole life." But every date felt wrong. Every man I met was either too much like Bryce or nothing like him at all. I'd sit across from perfectly nice guys and feel absolutely nothing. My therapist, Dr. Morrison, said I needed more time. "You're not ready," she told me. And that's okay. Healing isn't linear. Unlike Dr. Hollis, Dr. Morrison actually did her job properly. She helped me understand that my anger was justified, that my grief was real, that the betrayal had fundamentally changed how I viewed relationships. She didn't encourage me to forgive Bryce or move on too quickly, or pretend everything was fine. "You trusted someone completely," she said, "and they betrayed that trust in the most calculated way possible. That's not something you just get over." A year after the divorce, my brother invited me to Thanksgiving. His wife, Rachel, had always liked me. She'd been furious when she found out about Bryce's affair. "I never liked him," she'd said, which wasn't true, but I appreciated anyway. Their house was full of family. My parents, who'd been quietly supportive through everything, Rachel's sister, their kids running around. It felt warm and loud and normal in a way my life hadn't felt in months. I was helping Rachel with the turkey when she said, "Have you met Colin yet?" "Who's Colin?" "My coworker. He's coming for dessert. I think you'd like him." "Rachel, I'm not ready to date." "I know. That's why I like him for you. He's not date material right now either. His wife left him last year, took the kids and moved to Portland. He's still figuring things out." "That sounds depressing. Or relatable." She smiled. "Just meet him. No pressure." Colin arrived around 8 hours. He was tall, dark-haired, wearing a sweater that had definitely seen better days. He brought a store-bought pie and apologized for not making it himself. "I burned the last one," he admitted. Set off the smoke alarm. My neighbor called 911. I laughed despite myself. We ended up talking in the kitchen while everyone else watched football. He told me about his ex-wife, Veronica, who'd decided she wanted to find herself in Oregon with a yoga instructor named Kai. She took our daughters, he said quietly. I see them every other month. It's not enough. I'm sorry. Are you? Because everyone keeps saying that, but no one actually knows what it feels like to have your family just end. I know what it feels like to have your life end, I offered. My husband had an affair with his ex-girlfriend. They went to therapy together. Colin's eyes widened. That's creative. That's one word for it. We talked for hours about betrayal, about grief, about how strange it was to suddenly be single after building a life with someone, about how dating apps felt like shopping for humans, about how everyone wanted us to move on when we were still figuring out how to move at all. Do you think you'll ever trust someone again? He asked. I don't know. Do you? I want to. But every time I think about letting someone in, I remember coming home and finding half the house empty. She'd taken everything. The furniture, the photos, the kids' toys. She left me a note on the counter. Just a note. He paused. You? I found out through a hospital bill. That's how little he thought of me. He couldn't even be bothered to hide it properly. We're quite a pair. Damaged goods. I agreed. I prefer realistically cautious. I smiled. That's better. We exchanged numbers that night, not for dating, just to talk, to have someone who understood without having to explain everything. We texted occasionally, sent memes about terrible exes, complained about well-meaning friends who kept trying to set us up with their single coworkers. It was easy, uncomplicated, safe. Then one night he called. It was late, past midnight. Are you awake? He asked. I am now. Sorry, I saw Veronica's Instagram. She's engaged. To Kai. They've been together less than a year, and she's already engaged. I'm sorry. No, it's fine. It's good. It means she's moving on. But we were married for 8 years. 8 years. And she's engaged to someone she barely knows. What does that say about our marriage? About those 8 years? It says she's an idiot who makes impulsive decisions. He laughed. A real laugh. You always know what to say. I'm gifted like that. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever wonder if you'll be alone forever? Like maybe this is just it now. We had our chance at happiness and we blew it. We didn't blow it. They did. But we chose them. We saw them and thought, yes, this person is worth my life. That was our choice. And now we're making different choices. Better choices. Like what? Like not settling, not accepting less than we deserve, not ignoring red flags because we're afraid of being alone. I paused. I'm tired of being afraid. Me too. We started seeing each other more after that. Not dates. Just dinner sometimes. Movies. Long walks where we'd talk about everything and nothing. He told me about his daughters, Hannah and Isabel, how Hannah was learning piano and Isabel wanted to be a veterinarian, how he missed them constantly, how his house felt too quiet without them. I told him about Bryce and Colette, about the divorce, about Dr. Hollis losing her license, about how I still couldn't listen to certain songs because they reminded me of my wedding. Do you hate him? Colin asked one night. No, I hate who he made me become. The person who checks phones and doubts everything and can't just trust anymore. You're not that person. You're careful. That's different. Is it? Being careful after getting burned isn't paranoia. It's wisdom. He was right. Maybe I wasn't broken. Maybe I was just learning to protect myself better. We fell into a rhythm. Friday dinners, Sunday morning coffee, long phone calls when neither of us could sleep. It wasn't dating. It was something better. A friendship built on shared damage and mutual understanding. Then Valentine's Day came around. Colin texted me at 9 a.m. Wanna be anti-Valentine's with me tonight? We can watch horror movies and eat pizza and pretend February 14th doesn't exist. I agreed immediately. He showed up at my door with a supreme pizza, chocolate cake, and a bottle of wine. I got all the important food groups, he announced. We settled on the couch. He'd brought several horror movies. Nothing romantic, he promised. Just good old-fashioned violence and terror. Halfway through the first movie, I realized I hadn't thought about Bryce once all day. For the first time in 2 years, February 14th didn't hurt. Thank you, I said during a commercial break. For what? For making this day not terrible. Same to you. He topped off my wine. Can I confess something? Always. This is a date. For me, at least. I know we said we're just friends, but I've been lying. I like you. More than just friends. And I've been too scared to say anything because what if you don't feel the same way? What if I ruin this? My heart was racing. What if you don't ruin this? What? What if I feel the same way? What if I've been scared too? He set down his wine glass. Do you? Feel the same way? I do, but I'm terrified. What if we're both too damaged? What if we hurt each other? Or what if we heal each other? What if two broken people can make something whole? I kissed him. It was impulsive and scary and absolutely right. He kissed me back, gentle and patient and real. We took it slow, painfully slow. First kiss led to second date. Second date led to third. We didn't rush, didn't push, just learned each other carefully. I met his daughters in April. Hannah was shy, hiding behind Colin's legs. Isabel interrogated me immediately. Are you Dad's girlfriend? I might be, I said carefully. Is that okay? Isabel considered this. Are you going to move to Portland with a yoga person? Absolutely not. Then okay. Hannah warmed up eventually. By the end of the day, she was showing me her piano songs. Dad says you're nice, she whispered. He smiles more now. He makes me smile more too, I admitted. We were building something real, something honest, something that didn't require therapy sessions with exes or secret phone calls or lies. Then in June, I ran into Colette at the grocery store. She was in the produce section, looking tired. When she saw me, she froze. "Hi," she said quietly. "Hi." Awkward silence. I should have walked away, but something made me stay. "How are you?" she asked. "Good. You?" "I'm okay." She didn't look okay. She looked exhausted. I wanted to apologize for everything. What we did to you was horrible. Yes, it was. I thought I was getting my soulmate back, but he's not the person I remembered. Or maybe I'm not who I was. She laughed bitterly. He's been staying late at work a lot. His coworker is very understanding, apparently. My stomach dropped. "Colette, it's fine. Really. I made my bed." She grabbed some apples without looking at them. "I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. You didn't deserve what we did. And I'm getting exactly what I deserve now." She left before I could respond. I told Colin about it that night. "Part of me wants to feel vindicated," I admitted. "But mostly I just feel sad for her." "That's because you're a good person. Or a sucker." "No, a good person. Who's building a good life? With a handsome, slightly neurotic man who's crazy about you." "Slightly neurotic?" "I check my phone constantly to make sure you haven't realized you can do better and left." "Never going to happen. Promise?" "Promise." We got engaged a year later. Small ceremony. Just family and close friends. Hannah and Isabel were flower girls. They took their job very seriously, creating an elaborate plan for petal distribution. At the reception, my brother pulled me aside. "You look happy," he said. "Really happy." "I am. I'm glad. After everything with Bryce, I worried you'd never trust anyone again." I almost didn't. But Colin's patient and honest, and he actually shows up. That's a low bar. It shouldn't be, but it is. Colin and I bought a house together. Sold my old one, the one from my marriage to Bryce. I didn't need those ghosts anymore. Our new house was smaller but brighter, filled with Isabel's drawings and Hannah's piano music and laughter that felt real. I still saw Dr. Morrison occasionally. Maintenance sessions, she called them. "How are you doing?" she'd ask. "Good. Really good." "And the trust issues?" "Better. Not perfect, but better." I paused. Sometimes I still catch myself checking Colin's phone. Not snooping, just making sure it's where he says it is. Making sure he's being honest. That's normal, given what you experienced. Will it ever go away completely? Maybe. Maybe not. But it's getting quieter, isn't it? The doubt? She was right. It was getting quieter. 2 years into our marriage, Colin got promoted. It meant more responsibility, but also more stability. We celebrated at our favorite restaurant, the same place we'd had our first official date. "I have something to tell you," he said over dessert. My stomach clenched. "What?" "Veronica wants to move back. Portland's not working out. She and Kai broke up." "Where does she want to move?" "Here, near us, so she can be closer to the girls." "How do you feel about that?" "Honestly, relieved. I've missed having them nearby, but also worried. What if she tries to take them again?" "She won't. You have a custody agreement now. Legal protection." "I know. It's just," he trailed off. "You get it. The fear of losing people, of having everything taken away again. I do get it. But this time, you're not alone. Whatever happens, we handle it together." He reached across the table for my hand. Together. Always. Veronica moved back in August. She rented an apartment on the other side of town. The girls adjusted quickly to having both parents nearby. I stayed carefully neutral, never bad-mouthing her, never inserting myself where I didn't belong. The first time we all met, at Hannah's school concert, Veronica was polite but cold. "You're the new wife," she said, as if I'd stolen something from her. "I'm Colin's wife, yes. The girls talk about you constantly. They're wonderful kids. They're my kids." "I know. I'm not trying to replace you." She softened slightly. "I made mistakes. A lot of mistakes. But they're still mine. Of course they are. I'm just here, if they need me. We weren't friends. We'd never be friends. But we found a way to coexist for Hannah and Isabel's sake. Life settled into a new normal. Work, family, dinner dates, weekend trips. Simple things that felt precious because I knew how easily they could be taken away. On our 5th anniversary, Colin surprised me with a weekend getaway. No kids, no responsibilities, just us. We stayed at a bed and breakfast in the mountains, the kind of place with hiking trails and stargazing and complete silence. The first night, we sat on the porch watching the sunset. "Do you ever think about Bryce?" Colin asked. "Sometimes. Not often." "Why?" "I saw him yesterday, at the hardware store. He was with Colette. She looked pregnant." My chest tightened. "Oh, are you okay?" "Yeah, that could have been my life, if he hadn't lied. If the therapist's bill hadn't come to our house by mistake." I turned to look at Colin, and I'm so grateful it's not. "Me too. Not that he hurt you, but that you're here with me now." "Do you ever think about Veronica?" "Less and less. She's the girl's mother, and I'll always care about their well-being. But she's not my person anymore. You are. Even with all my baggage, especially with your baggage, it matches mine." We sat there as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, two people who'd been broken and had somehow found a way to be whole again. Not perfect, not without scars, but real, honest, together. The next morning, we hiked to a waterfall. The trail was steep, and I was out of breath by the time we reached the top, but the view was worth it. Water cascading over rocks, light filtering through trees, the sound of something powerful and unstoppable. "This is what happiness feels like," I said. Colin pulled me close. "This is what we built. From nothing, from hurt. We built this." He was right. We had built something. Something that couldn't be destroyed by lies or betrayal or the ghosts of relationships past. Something solid and real and ours. When we got back to the house, I called Natalie. "How are you?" she asked. "Happy. Actually, happy. About time. You've earned it." "Have I, though?" Sometimes I feel guilty, like I shouldn't be this okay after everything. That's the trauma talking. You're allowed to heal. You're allowed to be happy. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You just weren't listening. That night, Colin and I made dinner together. Nothing fancy. Just pasta and salad and wine. But it felt like everything. The ordinary moments we'd built. The life we'd chosen. The future we were creating. I love you, I said. I love you too. Simple words. But they meant more coming from someone who showed up, who told the truth, who chose me every single day without needing therapy sessions with his ex-girlfriend to figure out what he wanted. I thought about Dr. Hollis sometimes. She'd lost her license permanently. Last I heard, she was working as a life coach. The irony wasn't lost on me. I wondered if she ever thought about her role in destroying my marriage, if she felt guilty, if she'd learned anything. But mostly, I didn't think about her at all. Or Bryce, or Colette, or any of them. They were part of my past. A painful chapter that had ended. And I was busy writing new chapters now. Better ones. Hannah graduated middle school. Isabel made the honor roll. Colin got another promotion. I started my own design firm. We adopted a dog named Biscuit who had anxiety and trust issues. He fit right in with our family of recovering trauma survivors. Life wasn't perfect. We still had hard days. Days when the ghosts came back. When I'd see a photo of Bryce and Colette on social media, smiling with their new baby, looking like the perfect family. When Colin would get quiet after talking to Veronica about custody schedules. But we'd learned how to handle the hard days. Together. With honesty. With patience. With the kind of love that doesn't need secrets or lies or therapy sessions with exes to survive. On our 10th anniversary, we renewed our vows. Same small ceremony, same close friends and family. Hannah and Isabel read poems they'd written. My brother cried. Rachel took approximately 1 million photos. 10 years, Colin said in his vows. 10 years of choosing each other, of showing up, of doing the work that matters. I wouldn't trade a single day. Even the hard ones? I asked. Especially the hard ones. They taught us who we are, what we can survive, what we're building together. I thought about the girl I used to be, the one who opened that therapist's bill, who discovered her husband's betrayal, who felt like her world had ended. I wanted to tell her it would be okay, that the pain wouldn't last forever, that something better was waiting, but she wouldn't have believed me. She needed to walk through the fire herself, to learn what she was made of, to discover that sometimes things have to fall apart completely before they can come back together in a way that actually works. What are you thinking about? Colin asked later during the reception. How grateful I am for all of it, even the awful parts, because they led me here. To a mid-range hotel ballroom with mediocre catering? To you. To us. To this life we built from the ashes of our old ones. He kissed me. Best ashes ever. We danced until midnight. Me and Colin and Hannah and Isabel and everyone we loved. Celebrating not just our marriage, but our survival, our healing, our choice to keep trying even when it would have been easier to give up. I never heard from Bryce again. Never saw Dr. Hollis. Never ran into Colette at the grocery store again. They existed somewhere in the world, living their lives. But they were no longer part of mine. I'd moved on completely. Not because I'd forgiven them, not because I'd forgotten, but because I'd built something better, something worth protecting. And in the end, that was the best revenge. Not destroying them, not making them hurt the way they'd hurt me, but being genuinely, completely happy without them. Living a life so full and rich and real that their betrayal became nothing more than a footnote in my story. A dark chapter that made the bright ones shine even brighter. That's what couples therapy should have taught Bryce. That relationships take work, honesty, showing up even when it's hard. But he'd learned the wrong lessons. And he'd paid for it by losing someone who would have loved him completely if he'd just told the truth. His loss, my gain, and Colin's too, because we found each other in the wreckage of our old lives and built something new, something lasting, something that didn't need secrets or therapy with exes or elaborate lies to survive, just two people choosing each other, every single day, without hesitation. And that was more than enough. 15 years after that therapist's bill arrived at my door, I got a message on LinkedIn from Dr. Patricia Hollis. The subject line read, "Long overdue apology." I stared at it for a long time before opening it. The message was long, detailed. She'd spent years in therapy herself, she wrote, working through what had happened. She'd realized too late that she'd failed in her most basic duty as a therapist, to create a safe, honest space, to verify facts, to protect all parties involved, including the ones she didn't know existed. She'd lost everything, her practice, her reputation, her marriage, ironically, when her husband discovered she'd been having an affair with a former client. The universe has a sense of humor like that. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She said she didn't deserve it. She just wanted me to know that she thought about me often, about how her negligence had contributed to my pain, about how she should have asked better questions, done better due diligence, been a better therapist. I failed you, she wrote, and I failed the profession. I hope you found happiness despite what I helped facilitate. I showed the message to Colin. Are you going to respond? He asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to tell her exactly how much damage she caused, how many nights I spent crying, how long it took to trust anyone again. And the other part? The other part thinks she already knows, and that carrying that guilt is probably punishment enough. I never responded. I just archived the message and moved on, again, but something about it stayed with me. The reminder that people can change, that guilt can be transformative, that sometimes the people who hurt us most end up hurting themselves even more in the end. Hannah graduated high school that year. She'd been accepted to Juilliard for piano. Isabel was heading to veterinary school. Watching them walk across that stage, I thought about all the ways life surprises you, how the worst moments can lead to the best ones, how losing everything can teach you what really matters. Colin squeezed my hand. Remember when you thought you'd be alone forever? He whispered. I was an idiot. You were hurt. There's a difference. At the graduation party, Hannah pulled me aside. Can I tell you something? She asked. Always. When Dad first introduced us to you, I was so scared. I thought you'd try to replace Mom, or that you'd leave like she did. But you didn't do either of those things. No? No. You just stayed, even when things were hard. Even when Mom came back and everything got complicated, you just kept showing up. She paused. I know you're technically my stepmom, but you feel more real than that, more permanent. I hugged her, trying not to cry. You feel permanent to me too. That night, lying in bed next to Colin, I thought about permanence, about how rare it is to find people who stay, who show up, who choose you even when things get messy. I saw Bryce today, Colin said suddenly. Where? At Hannah's graduation. He was there with Colette and their son. I guess his kid goes to the same school. Did you talk to him? Briefly. He congratulated me on Hannah's achievement. Asked how we were doing. It was weird. Weird how? He looked tired, defeated, like life hadn't turned out the way he'd hoped. Colin turned to face me. He asked about you. What did he say? He asked if you were happy. I told him you were. He said good, that you deserved it. Then Colette called him over and that was it. I tried to imagine Bryce watching us from across the auditorium, seeing me with Colin and the girls, seeing the life I'd built, the happiness I'd found. Did he regret it? Did he wish he'd made different choices? Do you think he's sorry? I asked. Maybe. But it doesn't matter anymore, does it? You've moved on. Built something real. Whether he's sorry or not doesn't change anything. He was right. Bryce's regret, if he felt any, was irrelevant to my life now. I'd stopped needing his apology years ago. I'd stopped needing anything from him at all. The next morning, I went for a run, something I'd started doing after the divorce, when I needed to feel strong again, to prove to myself that I could do hard things, that I could rebuild. As I ran through the park, I passed a couple sitting on a bench. They were fighting, her voice rising, his defensive. You said you'd be honest, she was saying. You promised things would be different. I kept running. Their story wasn't mine, but I recognized the pain in her voice, the betrayal, the moment when you realize the person you trusted has been lying to you. I wanted to stop, to tell her it gets better, that the pain doesn't last forever, that she'll survive this and build something even better on the other side. But I kept running, because everyone's journey is their own. You can't shortcut healing, can't skip the hard parts, can't force someone to see the future when they're drowning in the present. I'd learned that the hard way, through months of therapy and sleepless nights and slowly rebuilding my sense of self, through learning to trust again, through choosing Colin every day and him choosing me back. When I got home, Colin was making breakfast. Pancakes, burnt around the edges, just the way I liked them. Good run? He asked. Yeah. I saw a couple fighting in the park. Made me think about us, about how far we've come. We have come far, haven't we? Miles, lifetimes. He plated the pancakes and set them on the table. I was thinking about Dr. Hollis's message, about how she said she hopes you found happiness. What about it? I hope she knows you did. Not because of her or in spite of her, just because you chose to. You chose to heal, to try again, to let me in even when you were terrified. We both chose it, I said. That's what makes it work. And it was working. Better than I'd ever imagined possible on that terrible day when I opened the therapist's bill. Better than I'd believed during those dark months of divorce and discovery. Better than anything I'd had with Bryce, even in the beginning when I thought we were happy. Because this happiness wasn't built on lies, wasn't hiding secrets or therapy sessions with exes or affairs disguised as closure. It was built on honesty, on showing up, on two people who'd been broken choosing to heal together. That was worth more than any perfect love story, worth more than any romance that never faced hardship, because we'd faced the hardship, we'd survived the worst, and we'd chosen each other anyway. Years from now, when people ask me about my marriage to Bryce, I'll tell them the truth, that he destroyed me, that his betrayal fundamentally changed how I viewed love and trust and relationships. But I'll also tell them what came after, how I rebuilt myself, how I met Colin, how we created something real and lasting from the ruins of our previous lives. Because that's the real story, not the betrayal, but the recovery, not the pain, but the healing, not the ending, but the beginning that came after.